this is one of those games where it's kind of not hard. You identify Dallas as a terrible defensive team, a very, very good offensive team, which is getting healthier this week as an offensive team. And so Washington, on the other hand, is a pretty damn good offensive team and a pretty porous defensive team. Not as good, not as bad defensively as Dallas. Maybe right now, not as explosive or as good offensively as the Cowboys. I'll start with this. To me, this is a game in which you've got to win it with your offense, and your offense has to be your best defense. Every offensive drive in this game should be treated like getting stopped even once could cost you the game. They may not need to be, but they should think in terms of being a 4-down team Sunday against Dallas. And I say they may not need to be in 4-down mode because Dallas is easily the worst 3rd-down defensive team in the league. They give up 53.4% on 3rd down. That's nearly 5 percentage points higher than number 31 in the league, Cincinnati. Don't leave the field offensively without points. Look, 10 drives, if you have 10, you pretty much have to score on 8 of them in this game, 7 to 8 of them. Of course, it's almost impossible to score on every drive. You'll have a penalty or a drop pass or whatever it is. But you have to be in the mode of offensively, we've got to be the best we can be because it'll be our best defense against the number one offense in the league. Every offensive drive gets treated like it is a game-winning drive, almost. Okay, I'm not suggesting go for it on 4th and 3 from their own 18-yard line, but 4th and 3 from their own 45, from their own at the 50 and plus territory, yeah. Number 2, how do you make the offense the best defense? How do you make it so that you don't leave the field with any significant number of punts in the game? This should be like a dealer's choice kind of a game, a pick what makes you happy kind of a game, because Dallas is god-awful everywhere defensively. They can't stop the run, they can't rush the passer, and they can't cover. I think it starts offensively, running behind Tunsil and Chris Paul. If that's with Bill, fine. If that's with McNichols, fine. If that's with Rodriguez, we'll see about his health, fine. But you got a big advantage on that left side of the offensive line. Run the football because time of possession, and yeah, you'd love to strike quick. You'd like to have it over quickly. But in this game, a 9-play, 10-play, 12-play drive, churning the clock, don't letting the ball hit the ground on throws, running the football, which you can do. I think it starts with running the football and more in, we're not stretching them out. We're not trying to trick you. We got a mauler at left guard right now and a mauler at left tackle, and they can't stop people up front. Number 3, you cannot make mistakes on offense this week. You made 3 of them against the Bears. And if you'd only made 2 of them, you probably would have won the game. But that's the Bears. Okay, that's Caleb Williams. It's not Dak Prescott. It's not Dallas. You cannot make mistakes this week. And that means turnovers, penalties, drop passes. The 3 killers of drives, right? A turnover ends it. A drop pass often ends it or derails it. And a penalty almost always derails it. Even though our team over this very short life of Jaden Daniels has been awesome for the most part in overcoming long down and distance disadvantages, you don't want to be in that mode because you can't afford to punt too many times in this game. No turnovers, no drops, few penalties, I think is crucial in this game. Flip it to the defense. To me, this is a bend, don't break game. This is as Bobby Belt said, this is a keep it everything in front of you football game. Because, and by the way, I think that means heavy zone coverage. I don't know how you end up in man coverage a lot against this team. If you end up in man coverage a bunch against Lamb and Pickens, who are you doubling? God forbid you have to bracket both. The tight end will kill you. He leads the league in receptions. They use Turpin as a receiver. He can kill you. They use this guy Flournoy. He can kill you, and they can run the football. I think this is a game in which offensively, whatever it takes to stay on the field, possess the football and score, you think aggressively. Defensively, you think much more conservatively. You bend, you don't break. You make them run 10, 11 play drives. And then I think the next key is red zone offense wins this game. You've got to keep them to 3 for 6, 2 for 6, 3 for 5, whatever it is. You got to get red zone stops and force Aubrey out there for field goals. If you're 3 for 6, that's 21, add 3 field goals, for the other 3 red zone stops, you got them at 30. And you got a shot then, potentially, to get more than that. Doesn't mean they're not going to score from outside the red zone. Understood that, especially with Aubrey. I mean, they're in field goal range when they cross half, midfield for that kicker. But red zone offense, red zone defense will be crucial. The team that ends up plus in red zone ends up winning this game. The team that kicks more field goals loses. The team that scores more touchdowns in the red zone wins. And if Washington does play more bend, don't break, more cover 2, keep everything in front of you, you got to tackle well. You cannot play that defense and not get Javonte Williams to the ground, not get Pickens to the ground when he catches one against your zone coverage. CeeDee Lamb, the same thing. And then, over a long drive, maybe Dallas makes a mistake. Maybe you get a phantom penalty, a holding that doesn't really look like a holding. That forces a field goal. Maybe on a condensed field, you can make a stop or two in the red zone. What else do I have here? Kevontae Turpin. I think we all remember what happened last year in FedEx Field. It was FedEx Field last year. No, it was Northwest Field last year. When did it go to Northwest Field? Beginning of last year, yeah. Beginning of last year. This guy is so dangerous with the ball in his hands. And by the way, they're not just getting the ball into his hands on reverses offensively, jet sweeps. They're throwing the football to him. He's a bit more of a target in some of these games. But with the new kickoff rules, Washington had one team last year, that they did not do a great job on kickoff returns against. And that was, of course, the Dallas Cowboys in that game at Northwest Field. In that game, Kevontae Turpin had, he had the touchdown. They had the 99-yard kickoff return when Washington had cut it to 20-17. And then they had another kickoff return off that, onside kick attempt. But Turpin is a dangerous kickoff returner. He averaged 44.8 yards per kickoff return. And that doesn't give you a chance to bend, not break if they're scoring on kickoff returns or if they're returning it, directly into the red zone. He's just an outstanding, dangerous returner. And I love our team's special teams coverage units. We've been excellent. Lastly, look, if both teams somehow perform in the red zone, it could come down to Brandon Aubrey against Matt Gay. Gay can't miss indoors in that stadium. The distance in which the ball travels right now this year because of the juiced ball is already an advantage. Kicking in that stadium indoors, you got to be able to kick a couple 52, 53, 55-yarders. Hopefully, you're not in those positions, but at the end of a half or maybe at the end of the game, the kicker that comes through will be big. I really view this game as offensively, you can't punt much. And defensively, you got to keep everything in front of you and tackle well. And if you do that, then maybe you can get some red zone stops, force field goals, and you can win, a 31-28 kind of a game, a 34-31 kind of a game. Red zone results are going to tell the tale. Turnover margin, obviously, you'll go to. The second thing you want to go to if you don't watch the game is red zone and how the teams performed in the red zone. Because a 4 out of 5 day, a 4 out of 4 day, a 5 out of 6 day. Yeah, they could be in the red zone 6 times, and we could be as well. That's going to be tough to overcome. Got to get some red zone stops. I like our chances, though. I actually really legitimately like our chances in this game Sunday.